So as far as I can remember, of course, born in LA. Most of my family lives down there. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, but that time was pretty hard for me to remember. You know, I was too little to remember all that stuff. Being with my grandparents was a huge time in my life, important time in my life. With all those memories I made. Being so young, I don't remember a lot of it, but my family decided to move up to Northern California because my dad was going to college up there. And it was pretty crazy, you know, coming from LA, big city, to really, really small town, no buildings, not a lot of cars, just trees, snow, and pretty simple, you know. Just growing up, me and my brother, we were going to like daycare at a house in town and have a lot of friends that we're still good friends till this day, a lot of us. So we ended up moving to Las Vegas. My dad got a teaching job here at a private Christian school. Me and my brother got to attend that school as well. My mom was working in the medical field. That's kind of where we started having at least a decent amount of time in one place. As I described my story, we moved a lot. So it's kind of hard to be like, where did you grow up? Because I moved a lot. But for a good amount of years, we were here in Las Vegas. Growing up, it was pretty interesting. We seemed at first like, you know, pretty normal family. I never had any experiences when it came to any dysfunction. I can clearly remember the day when dysfunction came into my life, and before that, my story and my testimony starts in Las Vegas because of what happened at my very young age.
If you could, for me, tell me what it was like going to a daycare that was only a house.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool, that's like one of the things I do remember. I didn't know. I mean, my parents, my mom was working, my dad was going to school and working, so we were just dropped off at this house, but supposedly everybody knew this lady in town, like ran a daycare, and a lot of the kids who were living in the town as well were also going to that daycare. It was actually pretty cool, you know? A lot of the friends that we know till this day went to that daycare. The lady was named Miss Becky. I remember one time she was feeding us lunch and she had served us a form of vegetable. If we ate all our food, obviously we got popsicles. Cool. I didn't want to eat my vegetables, and she made me stay there until I ate my vegetables. So I just kind of like chewed them really fast and swallowed them. I'm like, all right, can I have a popsicle? And then she's like, yeah, you're gonna have a popsicle. So that's all I remember is actually that moment. But it was cool. I think the one thing I remember pretty much out of all of that was the friends we made at a very young age and that we're still connected till this day. As a kid, you only, for me at least, I only remember the good times. We were just kids. We were just, you know, what was the worry? Like, you know, we didn't have a worry. It was just wake up, go to school, be with friends, play video games. I mean, I couldn't think of a worry at all. But it wasn't until when we came to Vegas, and about a year or so in, that's when things started getting a little bit intense. So that's why I started paying attention to detail as far as what's going on. There was something happening. There was tension in my family, specifically my mom and dad, and I don't know why, and I don't know what was going on, but there was a lot of tension. And then things started progressing as I got older.
How old were you when you guys moved to Vegas?
So I started kindergarten there. So I would like to think 5 or 6 years old.
So up until you were 5 or 6, you just had a normal, fun childhood. And around that time, moved to Vegas, and that's when things started to escalate and change.
Yeah, I would say like maybe a year in, that's when stuff started happening. Happy to fear, happy to anxiety, happy to what's gonna happen next. I never feared anything like that. I never had that kind of problem. But it wasn't until started seeing my parents fight. My dad was, like I said previously, my dad got a job at a private Christian school, and we were going and attending that school. You know, at the time we're just going to school. I mean, you know our dad's a teacher, but he had started talking to another coworker who was a teacher as well, and they had built a really strong friendship, but that friendship started escalating into more of a hidden relationship. And in other words, my dad was having an affair on my mom. And my mom was a person at the time who didn't really have a voice as a woman. She was very quiet. She didn't really say much. She didn't know how to address. She didn't really have any really good communication skills as far as like she didn't know how to address it to him. Like, hey, this is a problem and we need to fix this because you're my husband, I'm your wife, this shouldn't be happening. Watching my parents fight and scream and just say these things to each other, doors slamming. One time my parents were in such a big of a fight, my brother was outside throwing the baseball, because I think that was my brother's way of like letting loose of some of his anxiety from my parents fighting. And remember, he was throwing the baseball in the backyard against the wall, and he got so upset one time because my parents were just like screaming, like bloody screaming. He threw the baseball at like the sliding glass door we had at our house, and he just took off running. Like, we couldn't find my brother for hours because he was just like I don't want to be there. He took off, and they not only were they fighting over their marriage, now they're fighting because they can't find my brother. So it's like, oh, great. As a kid, you don't fully understand what's going on, dude. I mean, you don't understand why your parents, your protectors, your guardians are fighting each other, and it's really just tearing me apart. You don't want to see that. No one wants to see their parents fight. My dad was someone at the time, people change, of course, but at this particular time, his word was his word, and he was doing things, and whenever he said something, my mom had to pretty much just, go along with it. The lady he was having an affair with, we were spending time with her family and her daughters. Her daughters, believe it or not, and this is how crazy it was, were the same age as me and my brother. So her youngest was my age, and her middle child was my brother's age. She had another kid, obviously, but it was like perfect timing in a way. How funny I have two boys, you have two girls. This can be a great way for us to continue this secret relationship. I'll just bring my boys over so they can play and have some play dates with your daughters. But I started picking up stuff. My dad's taking us to this lady's house, but why is my mom crying at the table, wondering why we're leaving? She's telling my dad to stop, but we're going to go swim at this lady's house with her daughters and have fun and hang out and watch movies, but my mom's at home crying. And so just things got worse and worse and worse. A particular memory that would always stay in my mind was Christmas morning. I was a Star Wars fan, still a Star Wars fan, and all I wanted was like lightsabers because I wanted to be a Jedi, and I had all these Star Wars action figures. I remember asking for Christmas, I want a lightsaber, like a nice one. And I always told my parents, like, one from the movies. I remember waking up early Christmas morning, coming down the stairs. My grandma, she was sleeping on the couch that we had at the time. I whispered to her, Merry Christmas, and she says, Merry Christmas, but it was like super early in the morning. And I'm there and I'm looking at the gifts and I see this specific present and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I know what that is. I think it's a lightsaber. And I look and it has my name on it and I'm like, oh, yes. So I go back upstairs and I'm like, all right, let's give it another hour so people start waking up. So by like an hour goes by and my parents wake up, my brother wakes up, and we're all saying Merry Christmas, and we're just excited, and we're opening gifts, and maybe like 2 or 3 gifts in, man, my mom and dad are fighting. I don't get it. I don't get it. They're just fighting, and this is the holidays. This is a time where we're supposed to be happy that we're all spending time together. But something had happened, and my parents started fighting, started escalating, and my dad all I remember is that he left Christmas morning. He took off, and then he went to go be at the lady who was, having an affair with. He went to her house instead, and all I remember is him shutting the door and my mom staring at the door. And she stood there for about a good 30 seconds staring at the door, and then turned around, and all I just see is just tears and a face just sad. And for me, I just remember looking at my brother. He's crying, I'm crying. It's Christmas morning, and we finish up opening our gifts without my dad. Everything else from there was just downhill. My dad eventually got caught. They figured out at his job, it's a Christian school, and the principal and the pastor had found out that he was having an affair, and they confronted him, they confronted the lady. They're both teachers, and they both got fired. It was around the same time that my grandma, which is his mom, passed away. You lose your job, you lose your mom, your marriage is falling apart, you're having an affair. For him, and his solution was to take off and leave. Now, I didn't know where he went, but my mom had, explained to us that he left to truck drive because it paid well. I mean, he didn't have to, but he still needed to provide. But he felt like that was the only job that he can get away and, I guess, talk to God and rethink his life. There's a lot of gaps in my childhood without my dad. It's very hard to think about solid memories with my dad. A lot of them are fights, a lot of them are just resentment. But other than that, yeah, he left and he went truck driving, and it's just me, my mom, and my brother, which it seems that has been the group right there. That's been the main three. And mind you, this is 2007, 2008, so the economy crashed. Lost his job, we lost the house that we were living in, and we ended up sizing down to a condo. We were there for a while, couldn't afford the condo, and then we ended up moving into a family friend's house. It was a single mom and her son. Her son was around my brother's age, so they got along very well, but I was the youngest, and we didn't get along very well, so that was pretty tough. So now you're moving from a 2-story house, all this stuff happens, move to a condo, can't afford the condo, move in with a friend with her son, and they have a dog, and we brought our dog too, because he's our family dog, and all I remember is that we left him off to the side in this little area, and he just kept barking, and he just wanted attention, and we were all stressed out, forgot about him. And me and the son, we just did not get along, and there was a lot of tension there, and it was causing tension between my mom and her friend who welcomed us in. So eventually we ended up leaving there and packing up and moving to LA again to live with my grandma and go to school there. Dad's still not in the picture right now. He's still truck driving and he's providing for us, but when he's not there, and that's huge. We need our dad there, but he's not there. So we living in our grandma's house right now, and they're happy, but we're not all there. You see, we would spend the year in Las Vegas, but we would spend our whole summer in LA. So now you're telling us we're going to be in LA, but to go to school and to be with our grandparents and go to school. Now it's like, it's not the same. Things are weird. There's tension between me and my brother. We're both trying to process all this change going on in our lives. I started going to school in middle school, trying to figure out who I am as a guy. I didn't know what I was into at the time. My brother, though, he was typical teenager, skateboarding, music. I remember music was a big thing because my cousin, who was a couple blocks down from my grandma's house, he was into the same thing, skateboarding, music, and he had a band, and my brother was a part of that band. They're like, Jerod, do you want to go to your cousin's house because your brother's going? I was like, yes and no. I wanted to go, but I also didn't want to go because I didn't do the same things that they did at the time. So I kind of felt off, but I went, and I remember hanging out with the guys, which were my cousin's band members, but friends and whatever. And I watched them. I just sat off to the side and watched them play. And they were just saying to me, "Hey, Jerod, you know what? You look like a bass player." And I'm like, "What's a bass?" "Jerod, pick this up, play this. Here, get on this, Jerod." And I remember they gave me some sticks and I was just playing on the drums, and I'm like, "Well, definitely this is not it." So they gave me a bass and I'm like, "I kind of like it, yeah." My favorite band still to this day, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, listening to Flea play and all that stuff. I'm like, "Oh, I want to play like Flea, whatever." But then I realized, bass is really not it. And then I picked up the guitar and I'm like, yeah, this is it. That was kind of the thing that I started getting connected to, My brother had a few guitars. I remember just quietly, I went and sneaked into his room and picked up one of his guitars and wanted to play. I remember I had a friend that I invited over and I said to him, "Look, I want to play guitar. I'm gonna show you how to play guitar." I sucked. I was like, "Dude, check this out." And he's like, "Yeah, you should probably put that away." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, all right." Try to tell me that I'm not good. All right, that's one way. As I was continuing playing the guitar and figuring out how to play and what to play and all these things, I do remember creating this riff. And it's so funny how the mind and the heart go hand in hand. Riff, I can still play it till this day. And I remember playing it and I showed it to my uncle and I showed it to my brother, and it was a sad melody. I don't know how it came to be, but it's so interesting how with everything that I went through, that's what my heart was trying to express. Now, I wasn't playing happy chords. I was like finding something. I don't know how it came to be, but it was just natural. It was sad because that's what I was feeling. And I didn't know that. The guitar was a way and an escape for me. And man, music is such its own entity. It's its own world. You can get lost in it. You don't have to listen to the fights or the screaming or anything like that. You can put your headphones on and you can put on any song that you like and just drown out the noise and close your eyes and be in a totally different place. And that's what music offered me. Now, how church and how God plays into this is really interesting. I didn't care for church, not like most kids these days. Their parents raise them in a church and they're involved with the youth or whatever, Sunday school. But for me, church was kind of like, I don't care because we came from a church and there's a lot of pain from that church. So I really didn't care about going to church. But here we are in this timeline, learning the guitar, discovering the power of music and what it does with the heart and the soul. And then my dad decides that in his hiatus of being gone, truck driving and all that, he comes back and he decides to tell my mom, "Hey, look, I was talking to God and, we've been working things out. And I feel like God is calling us back to Northern California. And I think God wants us to go to the church that we were going to and start a youth ministry there." It was tough. There's a lot of emotions going on. My mom's not sure what to think. My dad had messed up a lot and she's like, do I trust this guy in leading us again to another place? So after I finished 5th grade, we packed up things from my grandma's house and we went up to Northern California. It was just me and my dad too. My brother had stayed behind. He was finishing up school. Gosh, it was weird, man. It's like, hey man, you've been gone. How do I talk to you about all this stuff? It was kind of like the elephant in the room, but I'm like 11, 12, like how do you address your dad about this kind of stuff? We moved up there first and then my mom and my brother ended up following about a few months after. It was just a different vibe, different chapter. But here we are, we're all 4 of us again, same house, all of us here together. And I'm starting the 6th grade and my brother's starting the 8th grade. Music and playing guitar, I carried that all the way. Every year, every day, every journey from there on out was with my guitar, with playing, with writing. So I'm starting 6th grade in Northern California and I was such a poser, AC/DC, Metallica, Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then I started, being normal and wearing regular, normal shirts and stuff. We started reconnecting with our old friends. One in particular, Tanner. Tanner was there in preschool. There's a picture of us at a park playing on these little weird swings things. I don't know what they're called, man, but we're still good friends till this day. And we started attending the church. And my pastor was a huge influence in my life. He was the one that taught me that God was a good God. He was a good father. He knew about what my dad did, and he knew our story. Everybody in that small church with their family. We were a church of 20 people. That's a small group. That's a small group in a big church. But we were the small group, and that was the church, and that was us. And they remember us as little kids, but now they're trying to get to know us again. And they knew oh, Jerod likes guitar, Jerod likes music. Again, I'm not churchy. I don't care for that. I want rock and roll. I remember going to church and I had the iPod, and I remember listening to Hell's Bells by AC/DC. Then I walk into church and whatever. But my pastor's wife, Bev, she was like, Jerod, you're going to be a worship leader one day. God's called you to be a worship leader. And I just looked at her and I was like, you insulted me. I don't want to be a worship leader. I think worship leader is lame. I want to be a rock star. I want to do rock and roll on a stage in front of thousands of people and playing guitar and all these things. I want to be a rock star. And this whole worship thing is a joke. I didn't say that to her because I would be rude. That was in my head. But as time went on, my heart started softening towards church, towards God. Went through middle school. At the end of 8th grade year, something had happened. I was hanging out with a friend, and this friend was coming down to Southern California with me. We went down to Southern California, and I don't know what happened, but one night, my uncle had asked me if I wanted to go to the movies, and the movie didn't even start. My heart started going 100 miles per hour. I didn't know what I was feeling. All of a sudden, I said, I gotta go. I told my uncle, hey, I'm not feeling good. I gotta go. And he says, what's going on? I gotta go. I started running out of the movie theaters. I went straight to the restroom, and I thought I had to throw up because I was just sweating. My throat started to tighten. My heart was racing, and I left the restroom and I collapsed in the lobby of the theaters. My uncle came, he picked me up. They wanted to call 911, and he said, no, I'll take him. He thought I got food poisoning from the food we had just gone to get. All I said was, no, I just need air. I need air. All I remember is that I could not swallow. My throat was so tight that I could not eat, I could not drink. I was afraid that I was gonna choke, and I had a hard time breathing. I still didn't know what was wrong with me. But I think a few of you already know what this is. It got bad again the next night, and my grandma was like, I told her, look, I need to go to the hospital. So she spent all night in the emergency waiting room, waiting for the doctor. For the doctor to just say, you have anxiety, you're having a panic attack, go home and rest, relax. You're young, you shouldn't be feeling this. And my grandma, as we were heading home, she was like, you just need to relax, what's on your mind? And I didn't know. But I'm assuming all this time, all these years of what's been going on with me, something was building up, and it popped that summer, and that was a massive panic attack. It got so bad, I had to have my dad come pick me up. But a few weeks before my dad came to pick me up, my uncle left his acoustic guitar at my grandma's house so that I can play, that I can play guitar and write music or whatever. And, we had a bunk bed, and I left the guitar on the bunk bed, but there's one night where I'm having massive anxiety, and I'm struggling. And remember, I'm not a worship leader, even though my pastor's wife said I was. I'm a rock star. But I remember picking up the guitar that night, and I put it on it, and I don't know any worship songs. I don't know anything about church songs. I don't know anything like that. And I go, God, you're good. And I sounded so dumb. But that was the first time, and even how stupid I sounded, that was the first time I can say I was worshiping. Because I'm grabbing what connected to me, and I'm using that to call out to God for help. So that massive panic attack was a bridge to the Father. Dad came and picked me up from my grandma's house in the summer. He was still truck driving at the time. Even though we had decided as a family to move up to Northern California, he didn't have a job up there because it's a really, really small town, small county. It's really hard to find a job up there. So he stuck with truck driving for the meantime. Took me to a couple spots because he had to do some deliveries, but then eventually he went up to Northern California where he dropped me off back at home. But it was towards the end, as I started going, like we were getting closer to home, my anxiety and all that stuff started fading. My panic attack started to calm down and I started feeling a little bit better. You know, my mom was telling me, we've been praying for you, the church has been praying for you. As all this stuff is going on, you know, I started diving deeper into worship and the Bible and God, and I started asking questions more, and I started finding artists, worship artists, Christian artists that I can listen to, because I was a baby when it came to all this Christian music. I only wanted to listen to rock music and stuff like that, so I'm trying to find worship artists to listen to. And then my mom and dad and my pastors, you know, we're all hanging out one day. They're talking about a church called Bethel Church. And I'm just hearing the conversation and they're like, you know, you've been to Bethel, Jerod. We took you probably don't remember, but Bethel was only an hour away from where we were living in California. We decided, hey, let's go back to Bethel to visit it. So I went to Bethel. And it was so jam-packed, man. Bethel was a very popular church, not as popular as it is today, but it was a very popular church. We showed up late, we went to the evening service. I remember that night as well, we were walking, a guy in front of us was walking, and he opened the door, like the door to the building, and all you hear is this massive roar of people in worshiping, and I'm like, I am not used to this at all. And I remember my parents are like telling me and my brother, like, hey, you know, Bethel's different. In a way, it was overwhelming, but it was also beautiful to see all these people just worshiping the Lord. The person who was leading a worship that night, that service, was Brian Johnson. I just clearly remember him singing and playing, and his wife was next to him. I just remember looking and I was like, you know what, I want to do that. There's something about what he's doing up there that I want to do. It's not just playing guitar, it was bringing the presence of God into the room. Like heaven and earth were meeting at that moment. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to be able to have that. So that was where Bethel and the journey of Bethel started. I started listening to Bethel music albums. Growing up in high school, I just remember diving deep into worship songs, music, and all that stuff. And Bethel was the only place I knew of that was authentic, and I felt like in their worship, Bethel seemed to have a way of when they worshiped, it was different. It was creative. And I had a girlfriend in high school that was my first girlfriend, and that was special to me. She was a Christian as well. I would take her to Bethel and stuff like that. As time went on, you know, we ended up breaking up, and that was a pain that I've never experienced before. Inviting God into that pain, into a pain that was new and fresh that I did not know how to navigate or where to go with this, was different. And so inviting God into that was beautiful, but also scary because I was in a place where I didn't know how to feel. Having God and going through all that was amazing because Holy Spirit was talking to me and teaching me how to process all that. After the breakup, I ended up going to the Bethel Worship School, and I got to meet a lot of the artists that I've been listening to over the years. I also wanted to eventually go to the Bethel School of Ministry, but I never had the money, of course, to go to that stuff, so that kind of held off for a while. But I ended up going to the worship school and finished off my senior year in high school up in Northern California. It was a rough year because that was the year where I was feeling the most alone. My girlfriend and I had broken up. We had another dog that we had for many years that passed away. We lost our home. My brother moved out of the house, went to college with his girlfriend, and we were like, all right, you can feel that the chapter in this is closing. And as I graduated high school, there's a lot of sadness going around because it's like, this is ending. All of this is ending. And a week after my graduation, my pastor passed away from a heart attack. And in a weird way, that was like, okay, this is it. Like, that was a sign saying that our time here is done. We ended up leaving. Same thing, man, When we moved to Northern California, it was just me and my dad. We're moving back to Vegas, back where the pain was. That's where my pain started as a kid. And it's me and my dad. It was rough, man. We got to Vegas. First night, we're in a hotel. As soon as we left that hotel, we ended up living in these really trashy apartments. And I don't have a job. I literally just graduated high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I can tell you what I wanted was to be a worship leader at a church. Cool. What's gonna bring the income? So I didn't have that college stuff or whatever. So I'm just all day in an apartment. Eventually we left those apartments. We finally got a house. Years went on, and when COVID hit, I started getting the stimulus checks because I was only working part-time at a music store. And I said to myself, with this amount of money, I can definitely go to Bethel's Supernatural School of Ministry. Easily. I mean, it was doable. So I started applying to Bethel, to the school, and I paid the whole first year off. I paid it all off, and I had a little bit of extra money to put on a place to stay up there, and I got accepted and I went. COVID, obviously was still a big thing, and they didn't want everybody to be in the same class. So we were doing a lot of our classes over Zoom. It just didn't feel right, didn't feel the same. Going through Bethel for only 1 year, I didn't feel like it was what I thought it was gonna be. All those years, growing up in high school and imagining being at Bethel. And I don't wanna say it was COVID that kind of destroyed it, but like it was also just something was off. And I didn't feel the same way ever since. I never graduated, sadly, because my mental health took a toll and it prevented me from finishing some of the assignments, so I never got to really graduate from that school. And it was tough. But I would say that the best thing that came out of Bethel was, one, I got to meet a really good friend, and that Bethel was not God. I had put Bethel on this pedestal. I had worshiped the culture than worshiping God. I put too much faith in the people of Bethel and the church and not God. There was a lot of shifting going on in my heart when it came to worship and church and God and all that stuff. So when I moved back out of 1 year of being up there and not graduating Bethel's school, I moved back to Las Vegas to live with my parents again. And from there on out, I went back to work at the part-time job at the music store for a few years. And in that, I was trying to figure out who I am and what I'm supposed to be and who God's created me to be. Writing music, playing guitar. I've been playing guitar this whole time. Having my view of what church it was supposed to be and God and worship leading and all this stuff, I realized that God is okay with just me being myself and me just praising Him and worshiping Him just every day in the small things that we do. And I wasn't concerned anymore about being a worship leader or being on stage in front of people or whatever. In that time, I was working on some original acoustic songs that I've been dabbling with, and I had released an EP called The Blurred Church. And basically, these songs are just the way for me to process these emotions on how I felt about the church, about where I'm supposed to be in God's people, because I gotta say, when I went to the school, there were times where I just did not feel like I was a part of that. I felt like an outcast. I felt like there was something off and I just didn't feel a part of it. And I was like, okay, well, if I don't feel a part of this, then I probably don't feel a part of God's kingdom and His people. But that wasn't the case. The Blurred Church was an EP that I got to release. So that was pretty exciting and a great accomplishment as well. And currently started diving into Christian rock. At the time of this recording, I released a single called Burning Down the Devil's Plans. And that was also a fun, project that I got to do, and still more that I'm gonna record and release. So, but that's me right now. It's current Jerod. That's pretty much all I gotta say for that.
Well, Jerod, on behalf of Proactive Visuals and all of the Furthering the Kingdom crew, we just want to say thank you for furthering the kingdom of Christ.
Thanks, man. You're welcome. Thanks for having me. John wasted perfect fire. You would be the worst fireman.
I just remember, he's like there, he's like,
Fire's over there. You'd be the worst fireman. The firemen are in the house with hoses, and John's outside shooting the water in the air.
like a water gun.
Oh my gosh.